Hello guys, it's Uchiales here again and welcome to this course where we'll be looking at design brief. Generally, a design brief is a simple document that helps us to understand the project we are designing or working on. Understanding a project we're working on or understanding a design project first of all before starting to work on it is very important because understanding the project we are working on before working on the project is very important because a good understanding of the project guides our design process, which in turn determines how good our design turns out. Like I've always said in many of our previous courses or videos, we say the purpose of a graphic design is to solve a communication problem. So when a client meets you as a graphic designer, the client is trying to communicate an idea to a group of people, or the client is trying to communicate an idea to a target or a particular audience. So this idea has to be communicated effectively, and that is why the client is meeting you as a graphic designer to help him or her to communicate this idea effectively. So without a proper understanding of what the client is trying to communicate to this group of people, you will not be able to help the client to solve that problem of effective communication. So a design brief helps you to understand a project entirely before you start working on the project. Now let me give you an instance. Let's say a client meets you and needs a poster design for a party. Now, the first thing you do is not just to jump into a design and start designing a party flyer or a party poster. You first of all need to ask the client, or you need to understand if the party poster or if the party is for adults or if the party is for children. Because definitely, if the party is for adults, the kind of design it will have will definitely be different from the kind of design the party poster for children will have. We also need to understand if the party is an indoor party or if it's an outdoor party. If it is an indoor party, you also need to understand if it's going to be in a house, like in a personal house, like a living apartment, or in a hotel. If it's an outdoor party, you need to understand if it's going to be a beach party or just going to be a backyard party. Then you also need to understand if it's going to be an all-night party or if it's going to be a day party. All these things helps you to know the kind of graphic element you use when designing this party poster. You also need to understand from the client if this party poster is a birthday party, if it is a graduation party, like what kind of party is it? So once the client tells you I need a party poster, you don't just start designing. You first of all need to understand the project. Your good understanding of the project determines how well the design turns out. So that is what a design brief helps you do. Let's quickly head over to Pinterest to make you understand what I'm trying to explain to you. That is pinterest.com. pinterest.com. So here at Pinterest, we want to design a party poster, right? So type in party poster. So you see the several poster designs that Pinterest has shown us. We have a night party here, we have a glow party here, we have a summer night party, we have different types of party here. Then we have a barbecue party here, we have a Friday night party. You see how all the party designs look like. Then let's type in children's party. Children's party poster. So you see that the children party poster is looking different from the adult party poster. The children party posters have a more playful theme than the adult party poster. All right. So you see why it's different. So you see why it's important for you to know what you're designing for, or it's important for you to understand the design project, so that in turn it will help you to understand the kind of design elements or the kind of tone you give to your design. Because without a proper understanding, you might end up designing an adult party like a children's party. So now we have been able to understand the general concept of design brief. Let's look at the definition of design brief. A design brief is a document for a design project that outlines the deliverables and the scope of the project. It is usually developed by a design team or a designer in consultation with the client. So a good design brief gives you the description of the project. It also helps you to understand what your client wants to achieve with the project, or the expectations of your client for the project. So these expectations helps to guide how you design the flyer or how you make your design. Then it also helps you to know the target audience of that design and the age range as well. So is the design meant for men? Is it meant for women? Is it meant for youth? Is it meant for youth couples? Is it meant for widows? Is this design meant for pastors? Is it meant for politicians? And what is the age range? Is it meant for children? Is it meant for adults? Is it meant for the elderly? All these things help you guide the kind of design elements you use. Then a design brief also gives you the idea of the colors to use, or it even tells you the exact colors to use. Probably when you're designing for a brand or an established brand that has what we call a brand guide. Design brief provides you with the brand guide that also helps you to understand the colors you use for the project. Then the design brief also provides you the design content. By the design content, we mean the actual words we use in the design, like the text all over the design, the date of the design, the date of the event, the time of the event, the title of the project that will be on the flyer, the short descriptions or that will be on the design. This is what we mean by the design content. Then the design brief also helps you understand the platform of use or the application of this design. Like, is it design meant for print or is it meant for social media? If the design is for print, then the design brief also helps you understand if it's for banner design or a billboard design or a handbill or poster that will be shared. If it's for social media, it will also then the design brief will make you understand if it's for Facebook, or is it for Instagram, or is it for a website banner. Then all this thing helps you decide or determine how you make the design. Also, from the previous videos I shared with you, when you're designing for print, it has a different color mode, the CMYK color mode. And when you're designing for social media, generally it has the RGB color mode. So you see how knowing the application of the design also helps you determine the color mode you're using for your design. So designing without a design brief is almost like running without a direction. You end up putting a lot of effort into the project without actually going anywhere. You make an amazing design, but it won't communicate exactly what the client wants it to communicate. And when you have not been able to pass out or communicate effectively with your design, you end up having issues with your client, and you have failed in your responsibility or in your duty as a graphic designer. So how do we get this design brief? From our definition, we outlined here that it is usually developed by a design team or designer in consultation with the client. This means that we work with the client to get the design brief. So the way we do this is simply, it's either by asking our client questions. Mostly I prefer doing this via chat. The essence of having to do this via chat is whatever discussion we have with the client, it is documented. I can always go back to it and make reference to it, because if we just discuss it over phone, we might miss out a lot of things. All right. So even if you are discussing with the client over the phone, you can also record the discussion. I have done this before. You can also record the discussion, but then also let the clients know that you are recording the discussion for the purpose of reference. So to get the design brief, you have to work with the client. You can get it by discussion through chat, number one, and number two, you can get it by discussion through phone, and make sure that the discussion through phone is recorded, so that you can, for the sake of reference, because sometimes we forget. We are human beings, we forget. So it's always good to make reference to discussions we have with our clients, so that we can always be on track. Then beyond just the chat or discussion with the client, the number three way you can get a design brief is by preparing a document for the client. By the document, I mean prepare a document that the client will fill. Ask the client questions in a document and send it to the client. The client will now fill the document and send it back to you. So for you to create a simple document that the client will fill out, or a simple form that the client will fill out, all you have to do is to go to docs.google.com/forms. So it will take you directly to Google Forms, which is a free service by Google that allows you to create forms or questionnaires. So once we are here in the Google form, you see this start a new document here. You can just click on it, or you can choose any of the templates that have been made available here for you. Either you choose any of the templates and begin editing them to suit what you want, or you can just readily choose a blank document and create a document from scratch. You can craft your questions depending on the project that the client is reaching out to you for. All right. So these are the three ways you can actually get the design brief from a client. Most of the time, I don't really advise sending out a form, although sometimes it works, but then I don't really advise doing that, because sometimes some people see filling out a form as work. So they don't feel comfortable filling out a form. Sometimes they can even be confused and don't understand what to do. But then when you have a discussion over the call, or maybe you have a chat with the client, the chat becomes is almost like just a simple discussion. So the client is mostly relaxed, and you get more information from the client. So through the chat, you can easily ask the client questions like, what is the project all about? Then the client goes ahead to begin to tell you all the project is all about. Then you can now ask the client, what do you want to achieve with this project, or what is your expectations for this project? Then the client begins to tell you over the chat or over the call. Then ask them, what the target audience, what's the age range, do you have a color guide, or do you have any color that is already identified with your brand? Then the client begins to tell you. Then you can now ask the client, okay, what are the information you want me to add on the project? The content, the title of the project, the date, and all those information. The client begins to spill them. You ask the client, is this project going to be for print or for social media? Then the client begins to tell you all these things, right? So when the client tells you all these things, you take note of them. Then is all this information that helps you or guides your design process. So for the situations or for the instances where it's more ideal to send out a form to the client, all you just have to do is or these same questions you're asking the client that you're chatting or discussing with over the call, just prepare them into questions in the Google document or Google Forms, or any form service you wish to use. Just prepare the questions in the form and send to the client, or send to the organization to fill. And when they fill and send it back to you, you work with the information that has been provided to you. So that's that for this course. See you in the next course.